Okay, we can't take that back because it's live. We're going to do this. We're going to talk about female leads today, and what does it take to have a great female lead? Right after this. All right, guys. Now that my mic is back on, we are joined today with Marky Mark and Commander Xena of the Star Trek crew. She's also the matriarchs of Fandom's head of the table. Of course, with me here on Portal Talk is Mr. Bo Llewellyn of Magica, the drama, and Big L of the 757 Geek Fandoms. Today, we're talking about female leads. And I believe it was Vonda that came up with the idea of the show because, we really don't project a good, strong, positive outlook, especially in the Disney franchise as it is today, with these strong female leads. Um, and I can say it's been a little disheartening. This last show, The Acolyte, has touched off this, and it's not really a firestorm. It's certain outlets that are actually shilling for Disney, and there are certain people that are actually trying to drown it, which doesn't make any sense to me because again, you're trying to help the franchise, but you can't really help the franchise if you're trying to burn it down. If you see what I'm saying, you're not going to get something if you keep burning it down. On the same token, if you keep writing bad stuff, people don't watch. And for the Acolyte, it was you can say that you have 50,000 people on the petition rooting for this show to bring it back because they're the true fans. And reality is, no one was watching. If you take the math from the Disney subscription subscribers versus the viewership, and it's like something like 0.3%, the numbers aren't there to sustain this franchise due to its viewership. So it has nothing to do with the lead. They tried with Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was a bait and switch. It was supposed to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then they give us, um, I even forget her name. Marky Mark, what's her name?
The third sister, or
Yeah, the one that gets stabbed like twice with the lightsaber.
oh, Sabine.
No, not
No,
Sabine.
no. What is her name? It's the third sister, but I can't remember what her name is.
Excellent point, Mark.
Yeah,
It's just, it
and
was,
that's it.
yeah, and it's not
Because
that
we
the
don't
fact,
know.
and now, and I keep hearing this thing about, it was about the color of the character. It was a black woman, so that's why it was down. And I keep telling everybody, I don't hear about the color of the actress. It's just the way the
It's
actress.
Revo. That's her name.
What was her
Reva.
name?
Reva.
Reva,
Reva.
Yeah.
Reva, Reva. Now, don't get me wrong. The premise was good. The premise of her character was good. The execution of the script, which for me was lacking. Um,
Calibus, I have a theory.
Go ahead.
I have I did some math, and in August, the Acolyte show had 24,000 rotten um votes, which was only leaving 18% as fresh at the time of August. And it got me wondering about a set of algorithms, not algorithms, a hypothesis rather, of you take all these shows that are poorly written and they're also putting female leads into them, but they're not giving them a good script to work with. So if you have repeated shows that have bait and switches with female leads, which is fine if it's a great show, or a male lead, and that's fine if it's a great role. But if you have it all female leads, all of them had bad scripts. They all get bombed in the reviews, albeit called review bombing by the haters or by the likers of that show, and being called just reviewing them by the people that don't like the show. But if you have bad show after bad show after bad show after bad show, and each one of the shows, Kathleen Kennedy is putting a female lead in each one. So by default, it's like a self fulfilling prophecy, where people that are supporters of the female first centric Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars are saying, "Look, you just don't like women leads," and it's like, no, you're putting women leads in bad shows, so we're reviewing it poorly, but we're reviewing the show poorly. You could have put a guy or a girl in that lead in a poor show, and that would have changed the demographic. But if you have nothing but shows with female leads and all those shows are bad, so by default, you wind up having everyone that doesn't like the show seems to be not liking female leads, but that's not the case. It's just it happens to be because the other is true as well.
No, I mean, and that's a good point, which kind of brings me to what we're here about to discuss the good leads, because I do not like Andor. I don't hate it. I just don't like it. For me to hate something, it takes a special kind of thing. But I will watch that show because of Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
This woman is willing to give up her family for the rebellion. And I'm telling you now, I'm the type of person where, you hurt my wife, I'm ready to scorch the whole earth. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to war. I don't care who gets in the way, what baby is stuck in a tree as I'm burning it down, it's all going. This woman is doing the reverse. She's giving up everything for a bunch of strangers, and half of them don't care. The rich and the elite that she's with, they don't care. They like everything the way it is. And I found that character compelling versus I found nothing compelling that except for Saul. And then they did what they did with him, and I was just like, I'm done. So I went back and started watching some of the older stuff. I like, as a guilty pleasure, Alias with Jennifer Gardner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
I like that show. I was watching that show and I thought, I mean, I guess sometimes the dialogue was a little hokey or whatever else, but I liked the show. I liked the dynamic of the show. You know what I mean? Netflix had this show called The Killer. It was a John Woo film, and this woman could not act to save her life. The dialogue was off. She's this. She was she was going to be this prostitute, but she killed this dude, and now she's this killer. And she did not portray killer vibes. She was a buck 5 soaking wet, and she's going to be taking on 300-pound men. And when she goes to hit him, she was kind of like, it was almost like she paused to hit, and I was like, I can't. It just my brain goes click. This is not even framed right. You know, shoot it right. Get or at least turn it to the side where you know what I mean. Give me something other than what they're doing. So when Mark was saying, "Hey, Vonda was asking, can we do something like that?" I was like, "Let's talk about these positive females, these roles that were iconic enough that made you stop and you know say that person now is a badass. That's what I like. You know.
Dana Scully.
Oh, okay.
Well, eh, I wanted to say for when I came up with this, we always talk about Star Wars, but there's so many other, shows, movies out there that we definitely wanted to mention. So the first one I want to do is The Woman King. And when we have Viola Davis here, this movie is what I'm talking about. This is a strong character. It's an entirely female-led movie, and it for me it did real well. I absolutely love this movie, and I heard about this tribe of women from Africa. I heard about them about 5 or 6 years ago, and I thought this would have made a great movie had somebody come up with it, and then they did. And Viola Davis is almost 60 years old when she did this movie, and then you look at her, she got into shape. She did the work to make this movie. And this is what I've been talking about. Like, yeah, I don't, we talk about Star Wars all the time, but there's other stuff out there that, we can discuss. This movie is one of those movies where it's a female led movie. Everybody did go and look at this, and it was a great movie. Your thoughts on this?
Viola Davis was always a strong-willed woman actress. And when I first heard about this movie, I kind of knew she could probably did the physicality of the part, but seeing her, I mean, this picture that we have of her right now, of all the women up there, was excellent. She wasn't whining. She, didn't necessarily, was a damsel in distress, which she usually don't even play those kind of roles anyway. But it's a really strong, good movie. And, me being a black woman, this is a movie where it's entitled with a lot of black women in it. You know, all the Amazons doesn't have to look like, Wonder Woman Amazon. And for this, it was just it was really good. A good story. They fought. They were badasses. If you have not seen this movie, and I think it probably came out about 2 years ago now, see it. It will surprise you. They all got into shape if there wasn't already in shape. You know, the exercise that she did, I saw a little bit of behind the scenes. It was really, 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 really good. Wonder Woman Amazon, good. But you need to see this. So, just a different kind of woman being that strong and empowered.
And this is actually based on a true story. So you got to think about there were women just like this that existed over 100 years ago, and that's why I think it's worth to see. And this is the kind of characters that they need to put out there that they're not doing. So that's one of the women I just wanted to showcase, especially Viola Davis. When you think about it, her age, that shape, and these women ran everywhere. They didn't walk, and they ran everywhere. They killed men for sport, and then they would take men as slaves. These are the women that ran this country. So that's what I absolutely loved about this movie. Calvis, I know you saw it.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
saw.
saw.
We got a little feedback. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was an excellent thing. I did see the the training part where they were actually training for the movie. You know what I mean? They did put some heart and soul into it. And Viola Davis, she said she stopped apologizing. She stopped wearing those wigs and stuff, and she did stuff with her own hair. And she started. So yes, definitely. Just like the Amazon of California, the Queen of California. I would love for them to make a movie about that. As a matter of fact, in your role playing game, the Queen of the Amazons is named after the Queen of California. And it's interesting that you would say her and that we don't talk about enough. The thing that we really don't talk enough about is Star Trek. And that brings me to Big L. Big
Uh,
L?
yeah. So before I say that, let me just say, jumping off of that, Octavia Spencer and Taraji B. Henson in Hidden Figures. If you haven't seen that movie, it's talking about female leads. Definitely look into that one. But Star Trek, when we're talking female leads and who did what first and all that. I mean, you got to look at Star Trek. They had Kate Mulgrew in the really early 90s. She was doing, like, had her own ship. And when I first heard about this, being a diehard Star Trek fan, I was like, we're going to have a female captain. Nah, I don't think this is going to work out too well. And then it blew up, became one of the best Star Wars series out there for young women to correlate with and to feel that love with, because not only did they have Kate Mulgrew, but they had Roxanne Dawson and a few other women that were the stories were centered around, and the male people were more of a the male actors were more of a supporting cast, as you will. They weren't the true characters. But Kate Mulgrew, when we talk about those female leads, Star Trek did it first. And people forget that. I mean, they forget that Star Trek wouldn't even be a franchise if it wasn't for a strong female lead, Lucille Ball. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't even have Star Trek. And then we get, years later, kind of a Lucille Ball-esque lookalike with the red hair, the quirky attitude and all that. And I'm like, okay, Kate Mulgrew, she grew on me. And now we've seen her in Prodigy, lending her voice to the Prodigy franchise. If you haven't seen it, it does look like a kid's cartoon, but I promise you, it is entertaining. It is very entertaining. And now she has agreed to, if they get the script right, to come back to Star Trek in a full-fledged admiral's role on a live-action series. So Alex Kurtzman and her are in talks, but it has to be a script that she is in love with. It has to be something that she is happy to do, kind of like what Patrick Stewart had to do. It had to be something that he wanted to do. So Kate Mulgrew, I mean, she stood the test of time. She took a fledgling career off of, I believe it was Bold and the Beautiful, whatever she was on, as a soap opera. Took a chance on herself and became this female lead that went on to be one of the greatest captains in Star Trek history. You can't think about Star Trek in the 80s and 90s without thinking about Voyager. You can't think of a ship without thinking about the Voyager crew. So for me, Kate Mulgrew is going to be high on the female lead side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to admit that when I saw her, I was kind of like, eh. But when they got lost and she was pulling her crew together, I loved that part about her. And the fact that she had to have her coffee. Some, I needed my coffee. There's coffee in that nebula. Let's go. Um, and then of course the beef between her and bringing on Seven of Nine, because even as a young adult male, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, they bringing in the eye candy, because every time they had it, it was like, you know, they made sure they gave you the full body shot of Seven of Nine, and then after that first season she got on there, then it was just like from here up they would give you the shots. You know what I mean? To boost the ratings, and I get it, and that kind of pissed Miss Kate off, and I can understand that, because she was trying to bring depth and seriousness to this role, and she wasn't trying to do the whole female shake my body at you and get attention. So I give her that. Um, Bo, I know you had a few that you wanted to talk about. Go ahead and rattle one off for us. You're muted, sir.
Look at me. I did it this time. I said, ever since you told me that I was going to be on the show tonight, I've had my mind rolling as to what kind of uh, like strong female leads have I been drawn to in cinema. Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown definitely ranks up there as one of them.
Mm.
I said Dana Scully before, but like as a TV show goes, Dana Scully has always been one of my go tos. I just thought that she was um, a scientific mind mixed with practicality that was the foil to Fox Mulder, and they never put each other down. It was like watching the scientific method where they would test each other's theories and then go back and forth with it. And I don't think anyone can ever discredit some of the more obvious choices like Ripley and Sarah Connor, you know, Xena, Warrior Princess, these strong females. But like when I grew up, I looked up to Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. I thought that was like she was stronger than everyone there, but like in society, she blended into the to the mortal race in a way where that she partnered with Steve Rogers, which by the way was not Captain America. That Steve Rogers was also her friend. And then you go over to the Bionic Woman, Jamie Summers, and I mean, heck, Jamie Summers' Bionic German Shepherd. I was such a fan of the show that um, that German Shepherd. I don't know if I got a picture of Charlie that you can see, but he inspired one of my characters in my book, Charlie, who became like a golem, which is like this bronze statue that came to life, but it still has an exterior skin and fur. So it looks like a normal dog, but it's like a bionic dog. And like I could go on and on with the nerddom all the way through it. I mean, even Christine Chappell. I mean, she had her own agency in Star Trek, the original series. Um, like she was constantly after Spock. She was just like, "Hey, man, Pon far's coming up in a couple of years. We can make this happen." She had her own thing going on, and even though women weren't treated very well in the original series, especially in season three, there were some standouts. And if you look at Buck Rogers, Wilma Deering was 100% in charge of that. Like, if the captain ever went down, it was like Wilma Deering was in charge. And I don't think Buck was even considered to be the go-to guy in charge. Wilma was always like telling him what to do. So I mean, the examples go out into space.
Yeah, I think there are so many good good shows. Some of them even being foreign films, and some of them being pushed up. But I will stop to watch just about anything that starts out to or it starts to look appeasing. Um, you Rob just mentioned She-Ra back in the day. We had He-Man, and then we had his sister Adora, who is She-Ra, and then of course you get the remake, and then She-Ra wants to go to prom, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute, what? Where? Why does She-Ra want to go to prom? And again, it's these people that and they swear they know the IP. That's the thing that kills me. I love this thing as a child. What's your favorite episode? Oh, I love them all. That's a lie. I am a Star Trek and Star Wars fan. I don't love them all. There's something a little bit more about one or two episodes that means something to you. So when I hear that bullshit answer and then I see your product, it turns me off. Leslie Headland. What's your favorite Star Wars? Oh, I like them all. No, no, now I know. I know. And then I see your show, and I really know you don't know what you're talking about.
So,
So go ahead.
Columbus, this is how you know whenever a show inspires, and we're talking about female centric characters, so we're going to
Yeah.
talk about the females that watch them. I taught martial arts on a military base as a government contractor for 5 years. And while I was there, I would allow civilians to come on base to be able to learn. And in 2000, whenever Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came on, Michelle Yeoh did this outstanding performance where she was a very strong female centric character that knew her shit. She was a swords person. She was like a top tier martial artist that was kind of in her like past her prime. but she was a hero of the land. And I had women come into my studio looking to start martial arts when that movie came out. And so I know that good scripts plus good, strong female leads equals inspiration to go do something else with their life, take control, do something that will manage their vulnerabilities.
I had a crush on her when she was Michelle Khan, and then she got married, and all my hopes were dashed.
Oh,
But I am so look. I know Section 31 doesn't look that good, but it's Michelle. I have to
Yeah,
watch. I have because I liked her character, the way she was the first empress, the way she and and
Yeah.
I'm gonna admit it. When she took that couple back to her bedroom, I was like, okay, well, that's very progressive. You know what I mean? I was like, wow. I wasn't expecting that. So I have to see, and my fingers are crossed. Again, I don't want to see Star Wars burn. I don't want to see Star Trek burn. I don't. Um, Marky Mark had put up a picture of we have Xena up here now.
yeah.
Marky
Wanda,
Mark,
well,
give
actually,
me
Wanda wanted to speak about that was one of her favorite characters.
okay, okay, but just give me one sec. I want to talk about the female Supergirl in the
Okay.
Flash.
Ah, yes. Okay. So,
She this was the first time I didn't think I was really going to like her because of the black hair. I mean, I know it's silly. Supergirl traditionally has blonde hair, but the way they did this Supergirl, I love the character.
she was
Um,
also Hispanic, which is
yeah,
totally out of the norm as well.
yeah,
So I love that about her also.
and I
Of
just
all
thought
of the ones that played Supergirl, she's probably one of my favorites as well.
I love that whole aspect of it and how she's wanting to protect Superman, and obviously she kind of failed at her job, and the way she brought it is what I liked. I liked that physicality of what she had, um, versus CW. And don't get me wrong. Now they had their problems because in the beginning, her and Jimmy Olsen were going to get ready to hook up, and then all of a sudden, the next season, oh no, it didn't work. It didn't, and I was just like, I'm done. I don't like
Well,
too much of a switch, and I get it. Buffy, they did the same thing to Buffy. The writers killed them off, and they're like, "It's not our problem. You guys bought her. You bring her back to life somehow." And it was kind of hit or miss with the seasons after that. And that's all I'm going to say. But Xena, Warrior Princess.
well, now that you brought it up, I just want to talk about the CW version. Um, I did not like that, and you didn't like it as well, but you watched every
Yeah, I
episode.
watch every episode. She was, I mean, I guess I know being a super, so to speak, you had to, I want to save the world, I want to save the planet. I get that. But the newer, the other Supergirl that they had up there, she was rough, and I like seeing that you can still want the good. You can still want to achieve greatness. You still can save the planet, but you don't have to go around being, Miss Goody Two Shoes about it all the time. I can tell that if they would have went more with her character, she would have been, or she was rough. I'm not saying that I just want to see all that violence in a Supergirl, but I did like her in that Flash movie because she wasn't so, oh, let me just, oh, Jimmy Olsen. No, hey, look, this is what I need to do. And, I need to go ahead and do what I got to do to try to save Clark. And then finding out that, he passed at the end there, she was angry. She just didn't want to see all two by two and all sit around the fire and, sing Kumbaya. She was a really good character, and I would have loved for them to continue with her. She wasn't blonde hair, blue eyes, and that could have been one of the reasons why that she didn't go forward in any of the movies. I mean, I watched Game of Thrones. I know the new girl is supposed to be, playing that part. She's okay in Game of Thrones. I don't see her being a Supergirl. I'm sorry, I don't. She seems too small, a little naive. Prove me wrong in another year or two whenever that movie comes out. But I was really disappointed they picked her.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, you can talk about
Oh,
Xena.
okay. Xena. I love Xena. I have it on DVD. Back in my younger years, I had a costume. Couldn't find it now. I wouldn't wear it now just because I'm, over 50. But when she came out, I mean, she was the warrior princess. She didn't care if you were a human, if you were a god, if you were a demon. Hey, look, this is what I'm doing. And she was just a really strong character. Yeah, her and Gabrielle, I think her name was, had a kind of a, little relationship there that they kind of spoke of, didn't, they went back and forth with it. But she, for me, was one of the main first, other than, Ellen Ripley, female character that did not need a man to tell her what to do, or a human, or a guy for that matter. So, love Lucy Lawless. I would love to see them do something else later on if they were. I mean, of course, Gina died, and spoiler alert, she died in the last episode. But, you know, great series. Enjoyed her.
Yeah, that look that circlet was my thing. Miguel, you had something?
Yeah, so I wanted to play off what Bo said a little while ago about you can tell a strong female lead by the women who watch it or do something whatever. I gotta say, Margot Robbie has held her own in a lot of movies. Case in point, Barbie. I mean, you can say what you want to about the movie or the franchise itself, but Margot Robbie really held her own in that movie. Not to mention playing um, the Harley Quinn that she has played. She has taken some lesser known female leads and turned them into major franchises. And you can tell by the people who went and watched the stuff, bought the merchandise, tried to dress up like her, all of that kind of stuff. Um, Love it or hate it, Margot Robbie has changed the way young girls feel about themselves when it comes to Barbie.
I can't disagree with that. I watched the like the Toys That Made Us and stuff like that when they had the Barbie special.
Mhm.
I watched it. You know what I mean? Because Barbie was the she was the it woman. Barbie wasn't just housewife. Barbie was stewardess, pilot, astronaut, RV owner.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ken was
Barbie had Barbie had all her shit. You know what I mean?
yeah. Ken had
Uh,
nothing.
right?
It's like a swimming short.
And poor Ken was,
He
kind of
just
sitting
had
off to the
clothes. That was
side.
about it. Yeah.
But
He had no job.
I watched that, but I gotta admit, I would not watch the Barbie movie. I saw it was just too bright and stuff for me. I was just like, it's not my cup of tea. But her as Harley Quinn definitely changed the landscape of how they changed things because then they started viewing Harley as this anti-hero. Of course, we get the breakaway cartoon, which for me as a Batman fan, I hate it. I again, and I don't like to say I hate things, but that I hate because they've taken something that was never supposed to be like that and kind of trashed it and made it trashy. Made it trashy, sophomoric, and raunchy because they figured that's what people wanted to see in Harley Quinn. Um, Now, then here's the flip side. They made Kite Man, which is equally trashy and stupid. I watched it and kind of went, please stop taking my DC, especially, and they all place it in Gotham. Please leave Batman alone. Go somewhere else. Take it to, take it to Keystone City. Just get out of Gotham. Um, but you know, like you said, she is a force to be reckoned with. Every year, especially after Suicide Squad came out, oh my God, every girl wanted to be Harley Quinn. And then, of course, the second one comes out, and there's that one scene where she makes love to the guy and kills him, and said, that was just too many red flags for me. And I was like, finally, okay, now I got Harley. Now I got the psychotic Harley that I wanted to have. So, unfortunately, that's not a role model that I would want for my daughter. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, like a Cersei Lannister, a strong female lead, however, not something you want to instill in somebody else.
Yeah.
But
But
uh,
Batman, when you said that, when you look at Batman on the Harley Quinn show, that cartoon, he is horrible
oh
up
my
there.
God,
So is Commissioner Gordon. There, I don't know what is up with Commissioner Gordon on the
I was
show.
getting ready to say that.
Yeah,
Gordon, what is he, a cuckold? What I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah, it's horrible the way they portray Batman and Commissioner Gordon on the show.
uh,
So yeah, and then you got Poison Ivy, who's in charge of the Legion of Doom, and she's trying to be a good housewife as well with Harley Quinn, and Harley Quinn is going both ways. So, it's okay. I've watched the first two seasons. I have not watched this season. I haven't even tried Kite Man at all yet.
Kite Man is just the same.
Okay.
But they make fun of Bane relentlessly. Poor Bane is the butt of every joke in there. So, just a heads up. But what I wanted to say before we go ahead and go was this was kind of like it's not a one off. I don't want you guys to think that. It's just that right now I wanted to kind of slide this to the masses to let you guys know that this is not something that we take lightly here at the Cosmic Portal or at the 757 Geek Fandoms. Nor does Bo. We love, and I don't want to say powerful women. We love women roles that are done well.
Correct.
And I cannot stress that enough. Not only, that I got giggly when I heard that Sigourney Weaver was joining the Mandalorian Grogu movie, that I was happy because when I saw her break out in Cabin in the Woods, I was like,
Just watched that again yesterday.
you. So it's something about just being a well written character, but that does not mean because you like the show and everyone else hates it that you give up on it. To hell with what everybody else is saying about your favorite show. If you love the Alkalite, I commend you on finding something in there that you love. Keep it. That's yours. Don't let no one take that away from you. Who gives a damn what people think? But don't get on the internet expecting everyone to have that same view or keep you in a bubble, because this is the real world. Okay? And everybody's got a needle. And not everybody wants to see you happy. So understand me when I tell you, you are strong enough to survive it. I'm a Raiders fan. I like Solo. I like the Snyder Cut. I like Batman versus Superman. I like Suicide Squad. I've been carrying the DC banner before DC was cool, and then when it wasn't again. And I'm still here. So you will survive not liking of the Acolyte or anybody else talking shit about Disney shows. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Anybody else got anything to say before we go?
I just want to thank everybody for joining in on this. You know, I noticed that we had been hating on female led shows a lot. I wanted to shine a positive light on some of these shows or movies that are female led. There are plenty more that are out there that, we didn't get a chance to discuss. So maybe another time we'll try to
Oh,
get
we're not done, Marky Mark. We're not done.
Okay,
We're
perfect.
coming
Yeah.
back. We're not done, bro.
Okay,
This is
perfect. I
this
just
is an
want to.
introduction. This
Yeah.
is nothing more than an intro. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get it back in. This is nothing more than an introduction. We ran a little
Perfect.
behind the times, but I've got to be at the doctor's at 0800 tomorrow, and Lord knows it's taking a toll on me. But I wanted to give you guys an introduction. You, those viewers that are watching us, those viewers that were going to be watching us, that our matriarch, Miss Vonda, there, Commander Xena, she was right. We don't sometimes put a positive spin on a lot of the other things that go on, especially that are female
Mm.
led projects or female led TV shows. So we will be back. This is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak.
Also, I'd like to say thanks to everyone in the chat that was keeping it going all during the show. I kept seeing their messages coming up, and that's pretty cool that you have like that kind of interaction as we're having the show.
Oh man, and Taco Cat is always one of our favorites. He's always with us. He's doing a lot of the stuff that we do. He's in a lot of our clubs. Here is a new one though. This is Aaron. So I want to say hi to Aaron and thank you for joining us. Um,
Actually, he's a friend of mine from Florida as well. So
oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So again, guys, we will be back with this subject. I cannot tell you exactly when. I'm going to have to get with Miss Vonda because she started this interaction, and we're going to continue that. Hopefully, we can get a couple of more females to come on and say their piece about what's going on here, and maybe the Blurs can do something on the Warrior Queen. I like that one. I like that movie, and I'd like to do one on Amanda Waller too because.
Oh
Every
yeah,
time every time I'm in COD, man,
yeah,
Waller is a badass.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
We can
So,
definitely do that.
guys, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody who came in and commented, Bo, thank you, sir, for taking the time out. Big L, I know you're a busy man, man. Thank you for taking the time. Miss Vonda, thank you for a great thing. We will keep this running. And next time you could do the introductions on what we want, the next female stuff that we're going to talk about as far as the leads go and everything else. Because I love this. I thought this was breathtaking. I love talking about Janeway and everything else too. So that was great for me. All right, guys. So I am Calibus Rand, and I want to thank you, wishing you all long life, peace, and prosperity.